All right, we are live here with Yael Grobglas. You're pulling double duty on Jane in several different ways. You got the two characters, you had two babies, and now you have two 4-year-olds. Have you had any time to sleep this hiatus?
Well, the great thing about acting with kids is that you give them back at the end of the day. So yes, so I get to sleep while working too. I'm like, I love you guys. I love you guys. Here are your parents. Good night. They're
That's good.
children on loan.
The best kind of kids, I would imagine. I mean, I'm
Well, I
sure
get them.
parents love your
I get
kids,
them for
but
the best part of the day. When we're having a blast and they're having a really good time on set and everybody loves them and they're just absolutely incredible to work with. And then you get to give them back. So it's kind of like good baby practice.
yeah, and then you
Fun.
get like the most well-behaved kids on the show.
Oh my God. And they're really like that. Well, I should say they're very well behaved and they're very well behaved on set, but they're really mischievous. I love them. We actually hang out just, them and myself and their parents. We hang out on off days too.
Well, that's cool. And mischievous, that sounds a little bit like Petra, right?
Yes.
Hopefully not to that degree though, but
No, don't look out for that. But but yeah.
well,
And
this
yes, same with
season,
Petra.
yes, that's true. This third season of Jane was, I mean, probably like the had some of the biggest events in any television show, any season you had. That 3-year time jump, and then you guys suffered the passing of Michael, Bret's character Michael, on the show. Um, I mean, I know you and Michael Bret didn't share too much screen time together because Petra and Michael really didn't interact all that much throughout the 2.5 seasons. But I know how close you and your cast are. So for you, was it? I mean, was that day and the aftermath of that pretty difficult?
It was hell. It was the worst. Brett is actually one of my closest friends, and we also spend a lot of time off camera together. We had big plans actually for Michael and Petra in season one. They had a few scenes where they were together because there was some investigation going on. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
And and it was funny because for a while, every single scene that we had together, we were standing side by side, like in an elevator or in a hallway or in a police station or something. We're always side by side, and we thought this was maybe going to be our thing. That forever our characters were never going to look at each other, just side by side, talk to each other, kind of without looking at each other. But that didn't continue very long. But we had a wonderful time working together, and losing Brett as a cast member was devastating. We heard about it over the hiatus. I'm sure somebody must have told you. We had meetings with Jenny, and she told us all that she was going to call us in for meetings. Now I was sure I was getting killed off, and I was like, oh my God, they're going to have to kill both my characters. And but finding out that it was Brett was horrible, just as horrible as getting killed off myself. And it was a long mourning process. And when the day came, it was terrible. And the last table read, we all got together, and Haley, his girlfriend, made us all alien masks because he loves aliens. So we're all
Mhm.
sitting with alien masks, and we got him as a cast gift. We bought him a samurai sword and like a kimono with a thing that says "I love turtles." It was very Brett. But it was like mourning two people. It's like losing two friends because you don't see Brett around anymore, on set. You'll see him on your off days, but not around work. And it's losing Michael, who as a character you've grown to love and care about. And suddenly, you have to mourn a character. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine the dynamic coming back is, I guess after that you guys had this hiatus, right? Then you were able to come back because you had done the time jump. Um, did you do anything in particular during that hiatus to kind of prep for a flash forward of 3 years?
We knew that was going to happen, but we didn't know what was going to happen. So it was all and I think it was such a brilliant way for Jenny to deal with this because it was really, you get to refresh a show so much and you get to almost reinvent its characters. You get to jump forwards in time and find them all in a completely new place. And as an actor, it's just incredible fun. You get to think about what happened to your character, where they are now. For Petra, for example, she goes away and she comes back suddenly as this super mom from postpartum depression as a super mom. It's kind of like, whoa, what just happened? The most annoying super mom too.
Well, I mean, I don't think she was that annoying. I mean, she class mom and everything, but it could be worse.
Yeah,
It could be
exactly.
worse. If we
It could
dive a
be worse
little,
for sure.
Yeah. If we dive a little bit more into Petra, I mean, this season you had a lot on your plate. You had the right when we began, came back. Petra was in paralysis, and Anezka was being Petra, doing all of the bad things. And then Petra comes out of it and kind of returns to season one form because she's hurt and upset at the same time that nobody figured out that it was not her that was doing all this. And then she's working on being the best mother she can and bonding with the two babies. And then all of a sudden we have this flash forward. Once we see her start that bond, we have the flash forward of 3 years, and she's now raising two 4-year-old girls, and she's rebranding the Marbella to focus as more of a family, kids hotel. And she's, like we mentioned, she's like room mom and everything else, and then we see her and Raphael kind of rekindle this relationship to a completely different degree than it was before, because it's more on a kind of a parental bond, and then this kind of equal respect and partnership that they've got. I mean, were there any? I mean, there was so much there. Was it ever? Is there ever too much to juggle sometime? Like, what do you do to kind of, get into all of those different mindsets? I mean, this season must have been just pretty challenging. Not even to mention Michael's.
I love it because for me, my background actually, when I started in Israel, the shows that I used to do were mostly 50 episodes a season. So we'd film almost an episode a day. So for me, that's kind of my training. So no, this doesn't feel like too much. It feels like heaven. I tend to get bored easily. For me, I'm like, great, this is perfect. Give me more to do. And as far as getting into the different mindsets, the writing is so brilliant that it's really not that difficult to understand between the lines where the character is. And I honestly kind of try to I know Petra at this point so well, and I think we all know our characters so well, that you could easily place yourself in their shoes and understand what they're going through at this point, and understand what they would be feeling if somebody said this and this and did that and that to them. So yeah, it's challenging, but it's incredible, and it's been a ton of fun.
What about the transition between going from, having these insecurities about the two babies, and then right off the bat you go into you're the perfect mom and you've got everything nailed down? I mean, you lost a lot of that kind of transition over because of the time jump. Was that an easy thing to do, or was it, because I imagine that as an actor would be tough to kind of go from one extreme to the next without much of a nice solid transition period, because it was just so like quick.
Well, for me personally, I think it was, I kind of compared it to something that Petra went through in season 2. I think it was season 2, where she actually suddenly went from being, she started out the show as more of a quote unquote trophy wife, someone who was very much dependent on her husband to bring in the money. And then she suddenly discovered that she was actually a very intelligent businesswoman. And she started running the Marbella pretty brilliantly, maybe even, I want to say better than Raphael, but they make a good team. And, that whole idea of making it into a kids hotel and everything, I think is a very smart move. So she started trusting herself a little bit more when it came to business. And I think for me, I decided that she treats the daughters and raising her daughters in the same exact way. She thinks of it as a business. She thinks of it as I'll make lists of what I need to do and how I need to handle this, and this is the correct way to do it. It's not that she naturally is overflowing with this maternal instinct that just kind of overwhelmed her and she knows exactly what to do. I think she's very much, I'm going to be this, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be the best at it. And that's for me where I put her kind of in her mindset.
I mean, always business with Petra, right? Never easy. Well, I remember, just recently watching a recent, I think it was 2 episodes ago. We haven't seen the finale yet at this point. But you had this incredible. Don't tease it. I don't. I got the inflection in your note. I know there's stuff coming, I'm told, but we still have 3 days.
Jane the Virgin cliffhangers. There's a lot coming.
Gosh. I remember watching about 2 episodes ago, and you had this incredible Anezka Petra jail scene where you go and you visit her and you're sitting across from each other. And I think I had mentioned to you on social media that I didn't even I forget sometimes that it's you, one person, and there's, you've got these two completely different character, and then all the stuff that we talked about. I mean, it must be, you mentioned a little bit ago, but it must be a complete blessing to have so much rich material in a supporting character that could fill a lead slot.
It's incredible. It's an absolute complete dream come true, and I'm knocking on wood just when we're talking about it, because may it continue. No, it's been a dream come true. I mean, I never ever knew that this was what was going to happen with Petra, and that Anezka would show up, or that any of this would happen, and being given two roles this fabulous and playful and fun is just, there's a world of possibilities, and it's just been incredible. Thank you, Jenny, forever.
Yeah, she's a genius.
A genius.
And one of the other things that she did this season that was really great was she brought together this what a lot of us Jane fans have always wanted to see, which is this build up of a friendship between Petra and Jane, because they're like water and vinegar and oil, water and oil, and they just sometimes they just don't mesh. But with the whole mom stuff, it seems like they've become, they're gradually becoming really good friends. How cool is it now for you to share so much more time with Gina? Because I know you two are just as close as you and Bret.
Oh, 100%. Oh, it's been wonderful. And every time we have a scene together after we haven't had one in a while, we both go like, oh, God, this is so much fun. Oh, it's so much fun. We have a wonderful time together. And I mean, we ping pong really well off each other. So we have a couple scenes this season where we get to really kind of have these ping pong scenes. I think there's one in particular that I remember where we were talking to like the headmaster or the head class mom or whatever it's called. We kind of overlapped, and we just have so much fun with these things. It's great. I hope there's a lot more to come. Gina's, an absolute dream come true to work with. So.
Well, I mean, a lot more to come. Yael, you guys are about to head into filming a season 4. I mean,
I know.
That's got to be just for a show to still be at a creative peak after 3 seasons going into a 4th. I mean, that's something you don't really see very often. As an actor, that must be also a complete just blessing to like have that kind of material to walk into after 4 years.
Oh, 100%. And I these characters are ever changing, and there's constantly new situations. And the fact that we managed to go through so much story and still keep it interesting is just mind-boggling. I have no idea how they do it. I just try to keep up. They're absolutely brilliant. And yes, I mean, you couldn't ask for more.
Well, you have been keeping up pretty well, and I think that's that's a big you've got this. You've also got this insane ability, gift, I would say, in what you do with Petra and what you do, to some degree with Anezka, but you're able to play this what should have been the villain in season 1, that with vulnerability and heart, and like making the audience actually root for somebody that you otherwise excuse me, in real life probably would not root for. And a lot of that has brought you a lot of great attention critically, and with this Emmy chatter. I mean, you for the past few seasons since the show began, you've been on so many lists of dream nominations for the Emmys in the supporting actress category. That's got to be just an incredible feeling. I mean, in part to you.
It's mind-boggling. I can't even wrap my mind around it at all. It's kind of like, what? Oh my God, I'm just having fun. I'm glad that translates, but really, I'm just doing the thing I love doing the most, and I get this opportunity to be 2 completely different characters on the same show. So, I mean, it's really just been a complete dream come true. And the fact that I get to play, I get to pull on many of my acting strings. That doesn't always happen in a TV show, and constantly change and do different things. It's just incredible.
Well, if dreams do come true, and you are fortunate enough to break into the supporting actress race this year, you have to submit 1 episode to voters.
Yeah.
Do you have any in mind? I mean, again, we haven't seen the finale. You could have an amazing thing in the finale, but is there anything in it that you have kind of in mind that you would want to send as your best of the season, I guess?
Well, I think we had this talk just yesterday, last year, and you asked me the same question, and I had no idea. But I think now that you mentioned the conversation between Petra and Anezka, because for me personally, I would submit one of those, because as an actor, it's so interesting to play two characters. You don't understand before you do it how complicated it is to come to that scene, and you don't get to just play off one of your brilliant co-stars and just react to all the amazing things they bring. You have to play off what you know you're going to be doing as the other character, and sometimes it's a week apart. So for me, that's really the biggest challenge that's been this season, is really, when they kind of when I ping pong off myself as two different characters, and I have to predict what I'm going to be doing as the other character, the character that I'm doing first, I'm going to be reacting to, and then remembering everything I did and doing that as the other character. So maybe I'd submit one of those. I don't know, it's the most fun.
Great choice. Has it become at all? I mean, I know you base Anezka off of your cat. Have you has it become a year now later? I'm sure you have your cat down at this point. Has it become any easier to transition into that, or is it still a challenge to kind of do the double duty there?
Well, it's become easier because now I know what to expect. But by the way, now that you know that it's based off my cat, do you see it now that you watch it? Because last time it was a surprise when I told you, but now that you're watching Anezka, do you see a cat?
Yes, I see you do this a lot.
Yeah. So, I think two things I've discovered about Anezka, and not even consciously do I know this, but now watching scenes back or doing some ADR for them, first of all, I'm like, oh my God, I'm always squinting when I'm doing Anezka. I think she needs glasses and I don't even know it. And she might have fleas. Would make sense since we know she doesn't use shampoo.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, sorry, sidetrack. The transition has become easier. It's more in the physicality for me. I noticed at the moment I put on Petra's shoes and I get into Petra's tight clothes, and Petra's very, poised and uptight, and Anezka's very Anezka's main motivation, I think, is what do you call it? Not motivation. Is she constantly is afraid that someone's going to hit her from somewhere unexpected. I think because I'm always like, she's always afraid some slap is going to come out of somewhere. So that kind of helps.
Well, let's go ahead and I know you've got a full slate of press to do today, so let's wrap up on some fan questions because we've got quite a few that came in. Carly wants to know, what would you think of a musical episode of Jane, and would you sing yourself in it?
Oh my God, yes. Not that I'm the greatest singer, but that would be fun, and I would love to tap dance. I've tried to kind of get Jenny clues through some writers that I can tap dance, but I don't know if word has gotten to her. I'm waiting for Petra to start Maybe Anezka should start tap dancing in some episode. That would be dope.
Yeah, that would be pretty awesome to see Anezka out of everybody tap dancing.
Dancing.
That would be super cool.
Anezka and Rogelio, those are two characters that need to meet and dance together.
Oh my gosh! If he could cast her in the show, in his new show coming up.
Yes, even just as the world's worst background.
Hey, you start that petition. I'll sign it and we'll send it out to Jenny.
Great,
and
perfect.
Everybody else. Danielle wants to know, what do you think right now would be Petra's favorite TV show, and what would be Anezka's favorite TV show?
Anezka's favorite TV show is probably the Teletubbies. I don't know, something she's never seen before and missed out on in her childhood. Smurfs.
That's a good one.
We know her favorite movie is Annie, so it's the only movie they got in the orphanage. And Petra's favorite TV show, I don't know, maybe The Americans, because they're Russian spies.
Ah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then the final question, Reza wants to know, if you could choose a happy ending for Petra, what would it be?
Ooh, that's such a tough question because on one hand, well, what would it be? I think her and Jane need to give up on men and just go raise their children somewhere on a desert island.
So almost where they were a couple of episodes ago.
Yes, exactly. Great. Jetra lives.
Well, hopefully, Petra, or actually not Petra, hopefully you yourself get some nice happiness coming up in July. The Emmy nominations come out. I mean, you guys, so rich, you deserve it. Yeah, and if I could, I'd be out there petitioning for you guys all over the place. So
let's do it.
So, but congratulations on an excellent third season. You had so much to do, and you were so incredible. And then the upcoming fourth season, I can't wait to watch. And again, thanks for joining Gold Derby, and hopefully you do next year again.
Thanks. I will, of course. Thank you. This was great, as usual. Thank you for the great question.